I know. Waking us up today.
Good morning, everyone. Or morning. Jeez, where am I?
See, you heard me say you're waking us up.
Yeah. It was a subtle
Yes, it was.
reminder from Lisa
Yeah.
that I was waking her up. So, good evening, and welcome to tonight's study session. We are here to listen to an amazing group of people who I adore immensely, who have done an amazing job of helping us with one of our major strategic plans, which is education and workforce development. You can't have good education and good workforce if they can't read. So that's kind of like step number one. And so this group is tackling that. I know it's part of the Achieve Pinal, and it's also a subset also of the Pinal Alliance for Economic Growth. It's changed so many times, I keep forgetting the name of it. But anyway, a good group of people, so please, Larry, you going to kick this off, or?
You covered it pretty well.
Oh, okay. So this is a review of really the AARP Experience Corps reading program, reading club as it's called, but it's again an amazing program with third and fourth graders. Second, third graders. Okay, I should know better. And anyway, it's really been an amazing program. So Evelyn, the floor is yours.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, staff, and members of the public, my name is Evelyn Kasuga. I'm chair of Achieve Pinal and also on the board along with the mayor and Larry as well on the Pinal Alliance for Economic Growth. And before I turn it over to the real folks that are going to talk to you about the program itself, I just wanted to show up tonight because as all of you remember, and actually the mayor covered a lot of this was a data-driven and purpose-driven effort and initiative because as you might recall, I made a presentation probably 2018 with regard to the education progress meter, which this council supported, and also the Achieve 60 initiative at the time, and it's still going forward. We're still using the education progress meter. It is driving a lot of work. This was one of the first communities that took it to heart because we were alarmed with the numbers we saw, and particularly with third grade reading and the college going numbers for our region, and said, hey, through Pinal Alliance for Economic Growth, we formed the subcommittee of Achieve Pinal and turned this into some amazing programs, and so which you're going to hear about. So really, I just wanted to replant that seed because it, like I said, it's data-driven, purpose-driven, and we continue to use our numbers to make sure that the action that we take makes a difference in this community, and you all have that as part of your strategic plan as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Myra Garcia, who is our new director, as well as Carol Chase, and all of you know her. She's a program manager for the AARP Experience Corps Reading Program. Of course, I'm going to also introduce, but he's not going to say anything tonight, theoretically, is Jerry Stabley, who kind of brought the program to the Casa Grande region as he learned how to do the program up in the Phoenix area. So with that, Myra and Carol, this is all yours. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Oh, thank you, Evelyn. Really, this has kind of happened at the same time. The whole strategic plan, the whole Achieve Pinal, all of that. I mean, it was part of Achieve 60, which was really the outcomes-based program that we all kind of adopted early on, and so this is really an outcome from, or an output from that. So it's great to see it actually being implemented. So and seeing some results too, which is amazing.
Yes. So, good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Myra Garcia, the program
Myra, if you could
director.
talk into the microphone, because
I am the
it is
program
being
director. Is that better?
broadcast. It's being broadcast. So
Okay.
we need to make sure people online can see. Or
All right. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce to you Carol Chase, who's our program manager, who without her, we would not be able to get this program going. So I'd like her to say a couple of words for you, and then we want to show you a couple of slides, and then we have some interesting data for you today.
Hi, Mayor. Hi, Council, staff. Thank you again for letting us come forward and present the great things that this program has done this year. Like Myra said, we are going to show you a little PowerPoint of the things the volunteers have done to help the community and what we do in the classrooms with the kids. So, Myra? As always, we want to thank our sponsors who help provide funding for this program. So a little bit about who we serve. So this slide represents two of our volunteers that were recognized by National AARP Foundation at two of their volunteer trainings that they held for all the volunteers in all of the programs. Ms. Barbara Sundust was a teacher, a longtime teacher for the district, and is now a volunteer with us. And she was recognized in November. And Lee Siebold is a new volunteer winter visitor, working with us for the last 2 years, and he was recognized at April's training. So that's our fearless leader reading to the students on the last day of class. And that amount has gone up because more tutors have gotten their hours and stuff into us. So. And I don't know if you guys know, those, our readers go first grade readers, second grade readers, and third grade readers. The majority of our students this year who were second graders started in first grade readers. So the decodables are very, very beginning level books. And this student progressed immensely, over 250%.
So what does a decodable 19 mean?
So we had 4 decodables in our packet of books for the first grade readers. They are books that work on letter blends. And those blends, and they're very simple one-word sentence for each page. And it's a lot of repeating of the same blend all throughout the sentences. And those are the numbers just are different blends that the teachers thought, the students might need more help with.
Okay.
So this is what some of our students told us about the program. Those are bags that we gave to the students at the end of the program year. The volunteers stuffed 98 bags full of new books, school supplies, snacks, all kinds of things that they can use over the summer and next school year. And they provided all of the materials, or the majority of the materials that went into them. And this is what some of our teachers are saying about the program.
And these are teachers from the schools.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And what our tutors are saying.
And how many volunteers did you have? I didn't.
This year we had 50 plus 5 community volunteers.
Okay.
Last year we had 60. And these are some pictures of, we still provide virtual tutoring for some of the seniors that do not want to come, into the school system. So we provided both virtual and in-person services this year.
Did you have some of the tutors outside of state?
Oh, yes, we have quite a few winter visitors.
No, but I meant that actually tutored from outside the state so they could do it virtually?
Yes, and it initially started, we only had about 2 that started virtual in October, and then when they got down here in November, they started in person, and then they transitioned back to virtual when they left at the beginning of April. Mhm.
That's convenient.
Looks like it's almost as good for the tutors as it is for the students, huh?
They like that part. This was our December training and social. It's held out at Dave White Park. This is where we stuffed, this one was held in the library. And this is where we stuffed 75 Christmas stockings for our students with a lot of the same stuff. Some oranges, some games, some toys, just some things for them to have over winter break. So they didn't forget about their tutors.
Cool.
And then we also had a training, of course, along with it. Those are some of our stars of the month that got recognized during that training. And this is our spring picnic. When Mayor McFarland came out, presented our group with our proclamation for volunteer of the month for April. That's National Volunteer Recognition Month. And we got this proclamation in the end of March, and then we did our volunteer recognition that 3rd week in April. And this was our end.
Hot dogs, too.
Yeah. And this is the end of the year recognition that we did, a little Cinco de Mayo celebration, in which we had the sheriff come and speak to the kids. And each of the students signed their name to a sign thanking our sponsors, which we are giving out to our sponsors. So a little bit in review. Last year we started, and I came to you last June and said we had a great year, which we did, even though it was during COVID. We served over 100 students, and then we served another 36 during summer school, and that was in person. And so then school year 21-22 came around in fall. We started right after fall break and ended the end of April. So we met with the students for 24 weeks. Then we, like I said, we did both virtual and in-person tutor services. 106 students have gone through our program so far. Right now, we are working with 31 students in summer school at Saguaro and Mesquite Elementaries, in person and virtual. We've had 98 students finish the program. So AARP doesn't count a student if they receive less than 5 tutor sessions. So that's the difference between the 106 and the 98. But the majority of our students received about 30 to 45 tutor sessions throughout the year. And in their research, students really exceed when they receive 30 or more tutor sessions. So that's what our goal was to do. So if you guys remember, our goal is to help kids with fluency.
Right.
So what I'm going to show you is a little graph. The blue lines on this graph represent our students. That's the beginning of the year scores. Most of our students started below or well below grade level. The orange lines are the end of the year scores. And that's just in fluency. And how we measure that is the teaching staff do a word assessment words per minute. They will have the students read a passage of words, count how many they finish in a minute, and then subtract the errors that they made.
So this is every student, right?
Every student that was in our
Every
program.
2 lines is a student?
Right, and you'll notice some of them only have one line, and what that might indicate is
didn't come
the
back.
student came into our program after January, so they only received one assessment, or they left the program before the end of the school year, so they didn't receive the last assessment.
Impressive.
For students that are still under the 10-word level or 20-word level, those were due mostly, either the child was very, very low scoring to begin with, which most of those are, and/or they had attendance problems. They didn't show up for the tutor sessions, so they didn't get the help they needed. And then, Myra? Do they have the data sheets? Yeah, the other ones? This one? No, did you? Oh, he's gonna, oh, okay, so, yes, thank you, right. All right, so the other sheet that you have, this is showing this year's particular scores using the school district's iReady assessment data. And that's one of the reasons why we don't have scores to compare it to last year, is because because of COVID, one, and the iReady curriculum assessment data was brand new to the school district and to the teachers. So that, on top of COVID, on top of kids being on Zoom, scores kind of got waylaid. But this year, we have good results. So this will show you by school, the number of students that we serve there, and where they started at the beginning of the year. So you'll see the levels well below grade level, or at grade level. And as you can see in that first column, that most of them are well below or below grade level. The end of the year program years column is where they finished. And then underneath, you'll see the number of students that increased 1 or 2 grade levels, and the number of students that showed growth within an assessment level. So that might mean that they started as a early first grader, and when they ended the year, they're now a late first grader. So they might have increased their assessment score 50 to 70 points. They just haven't made it into that cusp of the next grade level scores. So overall, I'm pretty happy to report that 68 of our percents, which is higher than the national average of 62%, increased at least 1 grade level, if not 2. And that overall, 97% of our students showed growth this year in their reading diagnostics. So that's a good sign. And we did mostly second graders this year. We only did 1 third grade class, and that was at Evergreen. And Evergreen this year was a total online academy, so those students were being served virtually and they were home. So I'm
Great numbers.
open to any questions you might have about our nice little program.
I mean, me personally, thank you for everything you guys are doing. I think it's amazing. These are amazing numbers, and if we can continue to improve like this, I think that's just really going to speak volumes for how we can impact our schools. And so I think that's starting here, as we kind of have discussed, or amongst us anyway, discussed the need for that second, third grade reading proficiency, and it being one of the key measures of the Achieve 60. I can't speak more proudly about all the work that you all have done. So thank you.
We have great tutors.
Mr. Levener?
Yeah, thank you for all that you're doing. We know the statistics on students that are at grade level for third grade versus those that are not.
Yeah, it's
And our kindergarten, first and second graders are really at risk right now because of all the instructional time they've lost with COVID. And you guys have done a phenomenal job filling the gap. I've sat in on the principal meetings when they talk about the impact that you're having. So great job, and I hope we can just continue to grow the program because it's going to be needed moving forward.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yeah,
You know,
go
I
ahead.
just want to say thank you. And, you know, it's not enough that we say that they read to them. I had a very, very small part midway through the year as being a monitor where I went in and actually watched, you know, as they did the reading. I was in awe of these volunteers because they were trying to keep that child on focus, especially virtual. And I was just sitting there, I think my own ADHD caught wind of it because it was like there was so much stuff going on, and yet these readers were, you know, with these children, and they were so excited to see him. And so, I mean, Carol was trying to work her magic with virtual and the kids in the classroom and the volunteers, and it was just amazing to watch. And so I can't say enough, not just about the numbers, but about the volunteers. And I think that we've hit something really special with our winter visitors by doing the virtual.
Absolutely.
Because it didn't matter where they were at. I know Lee, who was recognized, he and his wife, who was a volunteer of mine with the court, and they were able to keep doing what they were doing, even though they were in Maryland. So hats off to them as well.
Yeah, awesome.
And
Lisa?
just, I mean, I ditto to everything, but, you know, just being a parent that's raised 3 children, you know, I just remember the stresses of reading. And, you know, there's sometimes I could never get across, so I always had to hire tutors and, you know, people to help. So this is when, you know, when I heard of this program and some of the seniors and who your volunteers are, it's such a great idea, and it's just, I'm so happy we have this program, and I really hope that we can expand it and whatever we can do as a city to help with that.
Absolutely.
But I just commend you. I'm sure these parents are just so grateful for the things that you guys are doing, because it's so critical, especially that age. That age is very critical, so I understand why you're targeting that age group too, so thank you.
Mr. Powell?
Yes, when I was growing up, in summertime, when you think you'd be away from school, my mother insisted that you read a book. And Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn just sent me off on an adventure, but I really appreciated that and doing that reading, and it was, I think that during when we had the process going on the pandemic, I read 45 books. So, and I gave those to the senior citizens, so they're books I read, and they were good books. And I think reading is just essential. Reading and math. If you can do those 2 things, you're going to be successful.
Yep.
Anyone else have any comments? Well, just to say again, thank you for everything you all have done. It's, I mean, whatever, you know, please let us know what you need. We'll obviously try to support it. It's one of our strategic objectives. You know, we don't manage or run the school system, but we do have a position in the community to have some influence. So if there's an opportunity for us to help in any way, of course, you know you have my support,
Yep.
but I know you have the entire council's support.
Amen.
Very much.
So
We
thank you.
appreciate that. And we have a token of appreciation for the city, so you guys can also hang it. It's one of our thank you signs that was signed by the kids.
That's very cool.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's some future artists too with the hearts and stuff that are on there. That's great.
All right, thank you all. We'll stand adjourned for about 5 minutes. We'll start at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Let me turn me off. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's City Council meeting on this 6th day of June. It's the day that the Allied forces invaded Normandy, just as a little history lesson for you all. And a lot of good men and women died. Sorry for that somber note, but we just had Memorial Day, so. All right, so we'll call the meeting to order. And the first order of business tonight is our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. And I believe that Bill, I'm going to butcher your name, Bill. Heinley. Bill Heinley is here tonight from the associate pastor of the First Presbyterian Church. So please join us in our invocation and remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Please pray with me. Gracious God, we gather here this evening to ask your grace and mercy upon this meeting of the City Council. We ask you to grant your wisdom upon this council so that they may make wise and just decisions for all the people who call this their home. May there be peaceful and productive discourse among all those gathered here today. May our single-minded purpose be to accomplish the best for the most according to your way. Grant your blessing upon the proceedings this evening and each one here present. We ask these things in the name of our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Would you please join me in a pledge to our flag that represents our country? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Bill.
Chair will listen to you tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Of course.
All right, Gloria, please let the roll call show that all council members are present.
So noted.
Item C is our minutes.
Okay, as far as the minutes go, Mayor, we've got, we need to approve the City Council regular meeting minutes from May 16th and
That's it.
consider the approval of the payment of claims for May
No,
11th.
that's it. That's it, Mr. Powell. Just the
minutes.
minutes from the council meeting.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Next is item D, claims against the city.
Mayor McFarland, I move to accept and pay the claims dated May 11th to May 31st, 2022 as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I abstain, Mayor.
Okay, one abstention. All right, next item is item E, which is our meeting agenda approval. Are there any changes to the agenda, Mr. Raines?
We have none, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Anyone from council, any changes to the agenda? All right, seeing no changes, then I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the meeting agenda is approved as presented. We do have a special presentation tonight. So on the agenda, it doesn't have all of the presentation. Pardon me?
We did an addendum to F, we have an
Oh, okay.
F2, we have an F1 first, then we issued an addendum for an F2,
So do you want me to do F1 first?
please.
Okay, so F1 is at the Youth Commission? Okay, because I don't have F2 on my
It's on the
agenda.
backside.
On the back, oh, well, I have the one I printed.
And Councilmember Herman has the plaques for F1.
Yes, I was going to hand that off to him, but, okay. Just realized that I didn't have the correct one.
There you go.
Yeah, I know, but where's F2?
Right there.
Where? Oh,
The whole deal. Well, because in the window.
okay. It's the law? All right. All right, so tonight we do have two special presentations. I'm sorry. I printed the one off that I got earlier this week, so that's my bad. So we do have recognition for the Youth Commission advisors tonight, and so I'm going to hand that off to the Youth Commission
Liaison.
representative from the City Council, Mr. Matt Herman. The floor is yours, Mr. Herman.
So for as long as I've been on council, I've been the liaison to the Youth Commission from the City Council. And almost just as long, Kendra Bray and her very good friend Crystal have been the volunteer advisors, spending their own time. And let me tell you, I couldn't do it without them. And they're leaving us this year. They'll still be around for a little bit of help, but I don't know how we're going to do it.
Did they have to leave together?
They do everything together. They both had babies. Yeah, they both had babies over their term. You know, I mean, they do.
They're a package deal.
And the interesting
Okay.
part is they are best friends from being on the youth commission so many years ago. So they were on the youth commission
That's cool.
as high schoolers, and then they came back and volunteered countless hours of their time, many Saturdays, many organizational duties. And again, I'm just the pretty face, and I'm just kidding. much more than me. But they do the work. They get the organization done. They help me communicate with the kids. They help me remember all the kids' names. You know, everything that they do. And they have these amazing organizational skills, communication skills, and just a passion for our city and for our youth. And without them, we would not be the award-winning commission where we are today. Crystal couldn't make it tonight, obviously, just Kendra's here. But of course, I'm going to ask Kendra again to pick up some slack for me and deliver this to her friend Crystal, as I normally do. And a small token of our appreciation from the city, we have these plaques, and it says, appreciation plaque presented to Kendra Bray for her dedicated service as a Casa Grande Youth Commission advisor from 2013 to 2022, generously dedicating countless hours of time and energy, helping to shape the future leaders of our city. Your dedication has made a huge impact on the lives of the youth in the community. And it's signed by Craig McFarland, the mayor.
Matt, that kind of volunteerism is really impressive, and we thank you.
I mean, it's hard for me to say this. I can't say enough about them. But they did assure me they'll help me with the planning this year. We have a couple of our returning members back here and some new members coming, which we'll talk about later. But I just can't say enough how much time, energy they give up for the youth. And then Kendra always manages to be the voice of encouragement and have these words of wisdom to say to the kids. She's a teacher by trade too, so she's very good at that as well as Crystal. So they've helped us on many levels with the districts and with everything else. So we are just very fortunate to have had them. And I tried to say, 2013 to 2022 is not quite an even, we could have gone for 10 years, and they said no.
We did 9 years as our advisor, so we thought it was fair if we did 9 years as an advisor.
And I was like, you could be longer than Donna. And they still said,
Yeah, you should go for the record.
no. Yes. But anyway, just so much appreciation to you guys and gals.
Yes.
And, they have their own kids that they're raising, and they're really small, and they still manage to give so much, organize the retreats, which they're going to help me with this year, they
Yes.
promised. And we'll have some new advisors. We cannot fill their shoes or replace them, but we can hope to at least live up to what they've done. So.
Well, I know that you are going to do an amazing job bringing whoever replaces us into the field and really teaching them everything that we did, because we couldn't have done anything without you. I mean, you keep us going. We might do the organization, but you're the one who keeps steamrolling us along. We always appreciate you.
I just know more people. That's but anyway, it's really bittersweet for me, and I'm getting a little. But anyway, thank you very much. And there's a couple more little things, and it's like a beauty pageant. Really.
He's been giving her all
Once again, you'll have to deliver to Crystal on our behalf, and I hope she's watching on TV right now. Thank you. And we do appreciate you very much. And you're just a phone call away, I know. So.
There.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. You've been through all this.
Great.
All right. Good job, man. Thank you.
One more special presentation tonight for one of the greatest teachers, actually, in the city of Casa Grande. And if I can ask Joanne Kramer to please come up here with me, I'd appreciate it. We've got a little video that was put together for you, and so I wanted you to be here with me to watch that video.
It doesn't look like her.
It doesn't look like Joanne.
One of the things that I have emphasized with leaders that I've worked with is Joanne Kramer had the greatest sense of urgency that I've ever seen in my career. She took every day with the utmost importance. She never took a day off. She came to work every day ready to work hard from when she probably arrived at 6:30 in the morning.
I don't see a leader's role necessarily as being only a mentor. I think we mentor others, and I think we are mentored by others. And Joanne was one of those people who certainly mentored me.
It was in 1978, and she had come to Casa Grande and started her first teaching job over at Ocotillo, and she was a reading specialist. And I had come in from Stanfield, Arizona, and it was my very first teaching opportunity in Casa Grande.
Joanne and I became friends when we sat on the banks of the Casa Grande Union High School pool and watched our 3 or 4 year olds take swim lessons. And I started back to work at Ironwood Elementary School. Joanne was the reading teacher at Ironwood.
Well, we're here where it all started, Ironwood Elementary, 26 years ago. And at that time, Joanne was my Title I teacher. And I used to love to go in and watch her teach because she was like an Energizer bunny. She worked so hard with those students, and I learned so much from her about how to approach teaching because Joanne had this belief that all kids could learn.
I started working with Joanne at Ironwood School about 1996, I think. I worked there 2 years with her. And then she became principal at McCartney Ranch in 2007, and I transferred over there.
You know, I remember this would have been in the early 2000s. Joanne had come to work out of the district office, and I know that she had started to gain certification and licensure as a principal. Most folks who go into the principalship nowadays really get an interest in it about 3 to 5 years into teaching. But, you know, Joanne was much farther into her career. And, you know, those of us around her at the time, you know, I remember talking to folks in the district office, and, you know, kind of the universal opinion was, that's a really good thing. She's going to be a good principal.
And then Joanne approached Doris and I one day and said he was going to a brand new school at that time, McCartney Ranch. Well, evidently she caught us in a moment of weakness because we agreed to it. And then after we'd already committed and agreed to it, we found out that the school was not going to be completed. And I had to take home 35 years of you-know-what to my house.
You know, she was able to attract a lot of really capable teachers to join in that effort. And so, you know, the opening of that school was really a model for others as to how to go about that.
Coming to McCartney Ranch and opening a new school was a lot of fun. We hit the ground running right away, starting to prep ourselves to work towards becoming an A+ school.
And so she stayed there for a few years at McCartney Ranch and earned A+ status for McCartney Ranch. And I remember her coming to me one day when we had talked about moving to Palo Verde, and that was something that she was really interested in doing. And Palo Verde is very grateful that she had that interest. I think her reasoning for wanting to help Palo Verde and leave a school where she was very comfortable and go to Palo Verde. I think her reasoning was really driven by this strong sense of social justice. She saw the students and staff and parents at Palo Verde as deserving of more than what they were experiencing.
And it was such a joy a couple years ago to go to Palo Verde when she hosted the barbecue when Palo Verde got A+. Because I think there are a lot of people that doubted that Palo Verde would do that, but there was absolutely no doubt in my mind with her sense of urgency, her work ethic, her optimism that it was going to happen. And it did. And being an A+ judge and being on the inside, I know that it was a slam dunk.
But for her, I think Joanne could go in and help make a difference for those students and help it to become a more special place than it already was. And, you know, I was there today with a team doing international research, wanting to see Palo Verde and research Palo Verde and learn from Palo Verde and learn about Joanne's leadership. So that's a tremendous tribute, going back to her desire to go there. She wanted to go there to make it a special place, and she certainly accomplished that.
She's left a legacy that's going to carry on for decades in our district, and people are going to talk about the impact that she's had, not only at the schools, but in the communities. Just her generosity, her heart, her smile.
She's been an amazing principal. She's been a wonderful friend. And I just hope you enjoy your retirement, Joanne, because you deserved it. You worked very hard. Best absolute wishes to Joanne and the fantastic next chapter in her life. She's going to get to enjoy those grandbabies even more.
Joanne, congratulations. Enjoy those grandbabies.
It's just been such an honor, Joanne, to work with you these last 26 years. I love you. We're going to miss you, but I know this isn't the end.
Now, can I get all the Kramers to come up front here, please? That's everybody, grandkids. First of all, I know I sat in on the community portion of the A+ grilling that we got from the school districts or from the state for Palo Verde, and it was an interesting exercise, to say the least. It wasn't the first one I'd been on, but it was exciting, and to know that you actually did it at two different schools is amazing. That's an amazing accomplishment. So congratulations to you on that alone is a monumental feat. So and nothing's ever a slam dunk in something like that. So sorry, Mr. Lavender, but it took a lot of work, and maybe it's a slam dunk because she's that good. Yep. There you go. Okay. All right. Okay. So. On behalf of the city and the city council, I did want to also present you with the key to the city. So we appreciate everything that you've done. So thank you so much. And we can all everybody gather in here. Come on in. You guys come in. All right. Congratulations. Do you want to say a couple things?
Sure. Principals never short on words. That's right. Well, 40 years, wow, that's a long time, isn't it? I have teachers that weren't even that old. When I first came to town was 1978, and it was a hot July afternoon. And I walked into the district office, and Dean Skaggs answered the door. Raise your hand if you remember who he was. Couple of you, not many of you. He was a superintendent. And he said, "You looking for a job?" And I said, "I'd love a job." So he said, "Just a minute." And he called David Hernandez. Remember David Hernandez? Oh, yeah. David came, they interviewed me. Once they found out I spoke Spanish, they hired me immediately. And so I became the EL teacher in the district. At that time, in 1978, there were 5 fewer schools in this community than there are now, so we've really grown. In 1986, I went to work at McCartney Ranch. There wasn't even a paved road on Cottonwood Lane there, if you can imagine. The buses didn't go down the road when it was raining. This all sounds like, it was me, but believe me, none of this was about me. It was about the teachers and staff that I work with. And you can look in the audience. There are a couple of them here. Katie and Heather, stand up. These girls were part of the reason that we became an A+ school. It's all about the teachers. It's not about anybody else. It's about the people that are in front of those students. AARP, you're amazing. They were at my school last year. People like this are what make this community successful. So it's the volunteers. It's not anybody else. It's the people that are in front of those children. I was a reading teacher for 20 years, and like Mr. Lavender said, that early literacy, if our children aren't proficient readers by the end of 3rd grade, they're going to struggle the rest of their life. So that's what we need to continue working on, is making sure that they become good readers. Thank you for everything. I'll be using this key.
You have grandchildren too, right there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Mayor, before we move forward, I just wanted Joanne just to, I'm not in the education field, but I just, appreciate you as a female leader in our community, and I've had the privilege of working with you over the last, I think, 14 years on the Cesar Chavez Committee.
Yes.
And so when I watched the video and saw Dr. Davidson talk about your commitment to social justice and those children deserving more, and serving those most vulnerable, you do, and I see it, and it's just really, and I'm getting emotional. It's just been really a privilege, just seeing what you do for the community and that particular community, and working with us on that. It's not just the elementary school kids. You also care about those moving on to graduating and the scholarships and everything. So I just thank you for everything you've done, and just being just a role model for me, and me working with you over the years. It's really been a pleasure, and hope you're not going anywhere, so we're going to keep you on
I
that.
am not. I have a lot of energy left, and I will be volunteering.
Good,
so.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right, now after that, we'll move to item G, which is our consent agenda item. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion and one roll call vote of the council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or member of the public so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. So is there anyone in the audience or on the council who would like to remove any of the consent agenda items? All right, seeing none, then I'll call for a motion to approve.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next is item H, which is our public comments section. And this is an opportunity for the public to address the council on a subject. Just as a reminder, we do not, if it's not on the agenda, we cannot comment on it, but we can direct staff to follow up with you at a later point. So if you are interested, please approach the podium, and you have 3 minutes, and state your name and your address, please, for our records.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Janice Pratt, and I'm at 425 East Providence Drive, and I want to give a shout out Joanne, she's done a fabulous job. I mean, what a wonderful person. Her legacy will be here for forever. And this has been a very positive meeting with the reading programs and what you're doing for the Youth Commission. And you may ask, why am I here? Well, I'm representing a group of people, and I'm concerned that if I'm not here, I might miss something. And this was a great meeting, so thank you very much. I have nothing to add to our situation, only I'm not certain where it's going. This is in regards to Spanish Trails West, which was in April, in May, and now we're in June. And I don't know what's going to be happening next. So, but we're still at the same level. And thank you very much for all your hard work. And that's all I have to say.
And we can have staff follow up with you, because there has been some developments in terms of when it will be back on the docket.
Okay.
Okay? And Larry, you'll follow up with? Yes. Okay, thank you.
And my name is Nancy Wood, and 513 East Beckle Road. And I was just joining Jazz with helping her with the community as far as the area that the development is in. A lot of the neighbors there have a lot of grounded, long-term, really good community. And we were looking forward to having it planned as it was, and we were just following through with seeing how that plays out. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here tonight? All right, seeing no one else, then I will close the floor and we'll move to our award of contracts. I-1 be the first item on the agenda. Not the first item on the agenda, but first in section I.
Thank you. Staff recommends that the mayor and city council approve a contract with CCS Facility Services for janitorial services of 16 city facilities in an amount not to exceed $556,484. We're also looking for an allowance of $10,000, and additionally, don't want the amount that we spend utilizing this contract to exceed our budgeted amounts. What we're looking for is opportunities to take advantage of contracts that are in place. And so we're looking for an amount not to exceed the budgeted authority that we've been given. So with that change, we did solicit for bids for this project, and we received 2 submittals. And after reviewing those, CCS Facility Services was the lowest and most responsible and responsive bidder. And so they will be taking care of 16 of our city facilities throughout the city, which represents square footage of 236,276 square feet. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Kevin, is it the same group that's been doing it?
It is not. This will be a new.
So this is a new company?
Correct.
Okay. So we'll keep an eye on it, make sure that the service is the same?
Absolutely. Typically, when we do these bids, we do multiple year options, but with our new procurement officer, Roy Dobson, he looked at the process and really wants to work with us to develop even a better bid process for next year. So we're looking forward to that.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, seeing none, then I'll call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 3334, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting a bid from PBC Phoenix Inc., DBA CCS Facility Services for janitorial services, authorizing expenditure of public funds, and authorizing the execution of a contract with or purchase order to CCS Facility Services, LLC.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance 3334 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next is I-2. Kevin, that you too?
Yes. Staff is recommending the mayor and city council award a contract for manhole rehabilitation services to Ames Coatings LLC, doing business as Southwest Environmental. This agreement would provide sewer cleaning services and job order basis contracts in an amount not to exceed $500,000. And again, this is the amount that we've budgeted for this line item in our budget, but we're going to be looking for authority to spend funds up to the amount that you approve in the budget. So we're able to take advantage of this contract with any emergencies that may come up to hopefully shorten the timeline for us to respond to issues. And the city has developed this program. We've been running this program for several years. It's been very successful. We've been cleaning a lot of our sewer lines to help manage, if not reduce, the level of H2S in our sewer systems, as well as our manhole rehabilitation efforts. So we're looking to continue that effort so that we have a system that we can rely on moving forward. We did a statement of qualifications for this and had 4 responders to the solicitation. And based on our evaluation, Southwest Environmental was the most qualified contractor. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I just had one question. Larry, I know you had sent us a note last week about the emergency manhole repairs. This is not that. This is our regular maintenance, manhole maintenance. Okay, so that's a separate subject, right? Okay, all right. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay, thank you, Kevin. Seeing none, then I'll call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 3335, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting a proposal from Ames Coating LLC, DBA Southwest Environmental, Inc., for the manhole rehabilitation program, authorizing expenditure of public funds, and authorizing execution of a contract with or purchase order to Southwest Environmental, Inc.
Mayor McFarland, I would move for approval of ordinance number 3335 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. And I did want to make note, because I know Steve Weaver's on vacation this week, but Mackenzie Lecter is in the driver's seat over here running the video. So, Mackenzie, good to see you over there. It looks good on you, by the way. All right. Next is J1, which is considering approval appointment of our Casa Grande Youth Commission with terms to extend through June 30 of 2023. And I'm going to ask Matt if he would identify those who have been nominated by the committee, and then Gloria, you can do what you need to do on this one. It says it's you, but
That's okay, Matt.
Matt can do the whole thing? Okay, all right, Matt, you're in charge.
You trust me. So just briefly, the Casa Grande Youth Commission was established on December 6, 2004. Don McBride was a big part of that. This organization's mission is to represent the youth of our city, making it a better place through dedication, leadership, and creativity. Commission members are Pinal County residents who are actively enrolled in public or private school, including charter schools, virtual schools, and homeschools in grades 8 through 12, including up to 2 members at large from lower or upper grade level of education. So we get all the schools, and we've got most of them involved from middle schools up through the high school. We're very excited. And this year, we had more applicants than I can remember ever. So for for 16 seats, we had returning and new members over 35 applicants, which a lot of years we're like hoping to get enough to fill 16.
Yeah.
So we're getting some traction, and the Youth Commission concentrates on, we've focused we do a lot of community service, but it's really about government and the youth that wants to know about how the city works, working with the city and being those leaders. So we've got a very good group, strong group. We've got some returning, some new members, almost half and half, and a good diverse group of kids. So with that, I'll announce the names. From the reappointment side, we have Anthony Amato, Gracie Anela, Emma Anela, Tia Ray Lewis, Mila Lopez, Landon Moglia, Iris Moreno, Alexis O'Neill, and Elle Wiles. Now, new members, we have Sawyer Barth, Kiara Cruz, Leilani Highland, Drake is that Leilani? Right? Okay. I already learned one name. Really excited. Drake Maestas, Reese Maestas, Sheldon Moglia, and Alex Ortega. So that would be our 16. Now, this group of kids was chosen by the existing Youth Commission through an extensive interview process that took all day one Saturday, but it was great that we had that. And thanks again to Crystal and Kendra's organization, technological know-how for the voting process, and just organizational skills. I usually have the ideas and they say, we
make
can
it
kind of do
happen.
that, Matt, but this is how we're going to do it to make it work. So, and that's a true story. So with that, we got these kids and we're excited. And the youth that didn't make it are always invited to come to all of our meetings. An open public meeting, they can participate in all of our activities, and it's a great way for them to meet the kids and be considered again for the next youth commission. So with that, Mayor, I'd like to forward these names for approval. So I move to accept the appointments to the Casa Grande Youth Commission as presented.
Second.
Before we take a vote, I did want to compliment the four who are here, and I think that, tell Anthony that he may have slipped a notch because he's not here. All right? I know that's going to devastate him, but I want you to tell him that so that he understands that he may not be the top dog anymore, okay? All right.
You can always depend on the Analyst sisters, let me tell you.
That's right. So, all right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor to approve those listed, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, unanimously accepted. So thank you and congratulations. Thank you, guys. All right, let's move to item K1, which is financial adoption ordinance. I won't read through the whole thing. So, Gloria, is this yours?
Yes, Mayor, this appears for a second reading, and it's not under the consent agenda because we did have one council member vote against it. We have ordinance number 1178.234.1, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from urban ranch to planned area development on property located generally south of the southeast corner of Florence Boulevard and Hacienda Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of ordinance number 1178.234.1.
Second?
All right. Yes, sir.
Can we have a moment of discussion?
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I voted yes on this, and I intend to vote on it the same tonight, but I know this isn't a public hearing. I don't know if there's anyone here to speak about it, but there was a letter to the editor from a resident from Mission Royale that opposed this, so I didn't know if we had anyone here that wanted to speak.
Yeah, it's not a public hearing, but if there is someone here who would like to speak, I would open the floor for them to
Thank you for doing
approach
that.
the council. Don't see anyone, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bob. Anybody else have any other discussion on this? All right, then I'll call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
We
Oh, we
did
already
have
did.
an ordinance
Never mind.
number.
I think we already did it. We have a first and a second. Motion and a second, please. Can I get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sidetracked me, Bob.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
No, until they connect with Hacienda Road and Selma.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next item is item L1, which is a public hearing. And Planning and Development Department, Mr. Tice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. If you'll recall, I was at your March 7th study session, I briefed council on some changes that planning staff was proposing to make to our PAD residential design guidelines. Since that meeting, we took council input, pulled together the formal revisions, took them to the planning commission, held a public hearing, did a little stakeholder outreach, and we're back here tonight with the specific proposal for your consideration. See if I can get this to work here.
McKinsey sabotage.
Is the toggle, maybe the toggle's not in. Thank you. Can you just do that for me? Thank you. I appreciate that. So, if you recall, this is not a wholesale revision of the PAD residential design guidelines. It's really kind of a fine tuning. Specifically, the areas we're going to talk about a little bit are the open space. There's been some changes to open space, some modifications to lot sizes, modification to how we process housing product review or architectural review, and a slight revision to our multifamily development site standards. I can say in general, what's driving these changes is an effort to try to extend our water resources farther to allow them to provide water to more homes potentially. So I'm going to explain that in just a second. So the new state law, there's a new state law that allows and actually compels Arizona Department of Water Resources to increase the number of certificates of assured water supply that were allocated to a subdivision that has not been built yet, that's a vacant subdivision. If the developer of the subdivision can show that whatever increase in number of CAWs that they're seeking use no more water than was allocated at the prior time the subdivision received its CAWs. When a subdivision receives its certificates of assured water supply, it not only gets a number of certificates to service a number of lots, support a number of lots, but also has an acre feet allocation of water that's allocated to that subdivision. So the new law allows a land developer to prove their case that whatever increase in the number of lots they're seeking, that it uses no more acre feet than the prior allocation. They're able to make that argument because of changes to water efficiency with modern plumbing appliances, but probably most importantly with changes to the outdoor irrigation systems and the kind of outdoor landscaping that's going to be provided. Because frankly, most of the water with the single-family homes is used for outdoor landscaping, not internal use. So that's a big change, and the developer can control that in a variety of ways, mostly through their CCNRs. So when this new law was passed, some owners of vacant subdivisions came to us and said, hey, we'd like to increase the number of lots in this subdivision so we can take advantage of this new regulation that ADWR has with regard to CAWs, but we can't increase our number of lots under your current PAD zone because of your lot sizes. And we understood that at a planning staff level, so we actually supported many of those PADs to be rezoned to R2 versus PAD, so they could actually take advantage of the increase in CAWs that might potentially be allocated. Through that process, we had 7 subdivisions that were rezoned from PAD to R2 to essentially allow them an increase in lots. But staff was concerned that we not degrade the quality of these subdivisions and maintain an equal quality to what we were realizing in our PAD zone subdivisions. So what happened, I think that, can we go to the next slide? You can go to the next slide, it's okay. And we achieved that objective by imposing a number of conditions of record on these R2 zones that require them to basically develop to the PAD standards other than lot sizes. So essentially, we were creating R2 zone subdivisions that had PAD design standards, except for the lot sizes. But there were some concerns raised by both City Council and Planning Commission and other members of the community about that approach. And this slide shows you, I think, summarizes those concerns. And one was that we were creating just too many 5,000 square foot lots, which is the minimum lot size in the R2. That the side yard setbacks of 5 feet and 5 feet were not adequate. The side yard setbacks should remain as 5 and 10 foot as in the PAD zone. And that the narrower lot widths of 50 foot, 45 foot wide lots actually reduces the amount of on-street parking and can create congestion in these new subdivisions. All of these were very legitimate concerns from staff's from a planning perspective. Next slide. So in response to those concerns, what staff proposed to do was to simply, let's just change our PAD design standards to allow some increase in the number of lots that would allow developers to take advantage of the increased costs that they might be able to achieve through ADWR, but still maintain a quality residential subdivision. And so that's what we have before you tonight. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the specific changes here in lot size, lot width, and open space. Next slide. So the current PAD design standards require that for you can actually have a lot that's down to 6,000 square feet, but for every lot that's less than 7,000 square feet, you have to provide a lot that's an equal number of lots that are 8,000 square feet or larger. So the new language allows a lot as small as 5,500 square feet. However, it requires that 25% of the lots in each final plat should be at least 6,500. So we're going to, guarantee a lot mix here. At least 25% are going to be larger, 6,500 square feet or larger, none smaller than 5,500. So we bumped it up from the R2, which is 5,000 minimum, and we required that we're going to achieve some level of a lot mix. Now, there was one of the things we were concerned about was that a developer who owned a very large subdivision that maybe had a preliminary plat, that they wouldn't just do a final plat, they would just final plat all the small lots and not the larger lots. So that's why we require that the lot mix actually be within each final plat to make sure that we were in fact going to get the larger lots. During the Planning Commission public hearing, that issue was discussed. Some developers said, hey, we got some issues with this. Sometimes when we plat subdivisions, we plat one section for a builder who wants some smaller lots, another section for a builder that wants larger lots. Sometimes it doesn't work from a business standpoint to intermix them within the plat, but we certainly could do two plats and record them at the same time. So that seemed reasonable. The objective is that we ensure that we would get the larger lots. And another developer mentioned, hey, I might have already platted the larger lots, and the only thing I have left in my next phase, I should just be able to do the smaller lots in my next phase because I already created all the larger lots, and that made some sense too. So we do have these two exceptions under that the lots have to be in the same final plat. They don't have to be in the same final plat, but we have to have a mechanism to ensure that the larger lots are in fact created. Next slide, please. The minimum lot width in our current PAD standards is 55. We're reducing it to 50. In the R4, R2, it could be 45. Now, the 50-foot wide lot does allow a developer to build a 35-foot wide home, which is a very common lot width for a production home. And they can create a 35-foot wide home and still meet our side yard setbacks, which you're going to see in a second, are 5 feet and 10 feet. So you do have to have 5 and 10, but we're not allowing the 5 and 5. That can be achieved on a 50-foot wide lot. In reality, what's going to probably happen is those lots that are larger, where a developer is going to want to put larger homes because they're going to have a mix, they're going to go to wider than 50. 50 is the minimum. I'm quite positive that we're going to get a nice mix of lot widths with between 50 is a minimum and whatever, the upper ranges on that. I'm not sure, but there'll be a range of lot widths. Next slide. So here's something that's pretty interesting. Our current PAD design standards that only required 15% open space. When we went to the R2 rezonings, Planning Commission decided and gave us direction that said, 15% open space is really not enough. We want to go to 20. These lots are smaller. You have less private yard space. You need more common open space to compensate for that. So we think it should be 20%. So we wrote 20% open space in these standards. But then actually with some input for the stakeholder process, and including input from our city attorney's office and from our planning commission, the suggestion was made, why don't you create some incentive for creating some larger lots? And so we did that. You can see that it's 20% if you are meeting the typical 5,500 square foot and 6,500 square foot lots. But if you provide some larger lots per the standard we have today, which is that you have the same number of lots that are have 8,000 square feet or over, in comparison to those less than 7,000, we're going to reduce your open space from 20% down to 15. And even further, if you have 50% of your lots that are 20,000 square feet or larger, which is about a half acre, so if 50% of your lots are 20,000 square feet or larger, we're going to reduce your open space down to 10%. So there's an incentive built in for developers who want to provide larger lots. Or another way to think about it, we're not penalizing them for creating larger lots.
Yeah.
These both were very good modifications, in my opinion, to the proposal. Next slide. This change really was just to allow the housing product or the architectural review of the various house designs and house plans to happen administratively versus having to go to Planning Commission. It'll just streamline the process. The review criteria is exactly the same. It's just administrative, but we built in an appeal process where if the applicant doesn't agree with planning staff's decision, they can appeal to Planning Commission. But there's very, very rarely any controversy associated with housing product. The last change is simply one that's in these residential design guidelines. They're mostly about single family, but there is a multifamily section as well. And in the multifamily section, we actually have a buffer requirement for, we have 25-foot setback where multifamily, and that includes build to rent, by the way, is adjacent to single-family homes or single-family development. So the setback is 25 feet from any building to the property line of the resident of the single-family development. And within that 25 feet, we require a 15-foot buffer. And so this change just simply says, in that 15-foot buffer, you can't make that somebody's backyard. It has to just be dedicated open space. What we like to see is like common trails and walkways put through there, things that the residents of the multifamily complex can use, and it can really function as a nice, buffer space for the adjacent single family. If that was really somebody's backyard with that kind of activity, it wouldn't function very well as a buffer. So that was just really a small technical tweak, but I want to make you aware of that. Next slide. So we did hold a public hearing. We did send this proposal out to many of our consulting engineers, consulting planners, land use attorneys, land developers, builders. We received a little bit of input that I discussed with you tonight. Planning Commission held a public hearing, and in the end, Planning Commission voted 6-0 to recommend that City Council adopt these revised residential design standards. And with that, that summarizes my presentation. Oh, 7-0 says. I thought it was 6-0, sorry.
Everybody was there. Thank you, Paul. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Mr. Powell?
Can we get a copy of this? What you've got here page-wise, can we get a copy of it?
Yes,
I think we
Mr.
got
Powell,
it.
it should be attached to your RCA. It was in the packet.
Part of
In
the-
your packet?
It should be in part of your packet.
And the version actually has strikeouts that shows all the changes made in red. The red text is the new text and the strikeouts, so you all should have this attached to your RCA. But I can get you another copy if you'd like one.
You can get copies on that.
He'll get you a copy.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You all should
Okay.
have them, but I can get you another one, absolutely.
One of the things that concerns me is I think it's quality and not quantity that we really need to be underlining in our development products. And the compatibility, which you've worked pretty good on, I think that's something we need to keep doing with what it's next to or how it might affect another neighborhood or whatever. So if I could get a copy of that, I'd be a happy boy.
Matt?
Thank you.
Yeah, Paul, I really like what we saw tonight about the incentivizing of the larger lots. That's a great way to do it, and that way, because if we kept it at the 15 or 20%, there'd be, who would build larger lots? They can't do it. But this is what we keep hearing from people buying homes and developers, that they don't want the big yards so much anymore. Some people do, some don't, so this is a great mix of that. And my understanding, correct, is then, if this is adopted, then we wouldn't have to use the R2 anymore, right, to overlay the PADs. We would just have our new PAD guidelines, so we wouldn't have to go through all that and have some question about the R2 versus PAD, single family.
Thank you.
That is correct. The R2 zone would
Mr. Powell would be
continue
happy
to,
about it.
the R2 zone would continue to exist as a zoning code district, but there really is not much reason for a developer to not go this route versus R2. For maybe small infill sites, that might still make
Yeah.
sense, but on the large greenfield sites, the PAD makes the most sense.
But probably like all the last, I think, 7 or so that we've done, we wouldn't have to go to the R2. We could stick with this.
Yeah.
And in the study session, you had a great chart. I would like to see it there tonight, but even though they can have these smaller lots, most of the lots skew towards the big, or a median lot size of around 6,000 to 7,000. Is that?
That is correct. They weren't all 5,000. They did
Right.
provide a mix, even though they weren't required to. We'll continue to see that kind of mix, maybe even to a greater degree with this proposal.
Just to be clear, they're not all 5,000 square foot lots. Thank you.
Mr. Lavender?
Can you go back to the slide with the 15-foot buffer, please? Paul, did those, back one more.
There you go.
Do those dots on the fence mean anything? That doesn't mean it has to be a half fence.
No, what you're seeing there is what we typically happens with, this is a build-to-rent kind of graphic, and then the build-to-rent products, if you recall them, they usually have a very small rear yard, like 10 feet, and they usually have some kind of either picket fence or patio wall around them. They're just basically very small patios in the build-to-rent. It's not required, it's just what the
Thank you.
industry builds.
Good work on this, thank you.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Paul, the 10 and 5-foot side setbacks, is that what we have now, or is that reduced?
It is what we have now in our PAD standards.
Okay.
It's not what we have in the R2.
In the R2.
And the R2 was 5 and 5.
5.
Our current PAD does require 5 and 10, so that is not being changed.
Okay, All right, thank you.
So the attempt is to encourage them to stay in the PAD requirements, right? So that we get to 5 and 10 versus a 5 and 5.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Right, Paul, now, does this also address the build for rent product too, right? Some of your changes, or is that?
No, the build to rent was
We already
in a
addressed it.
prior version. The only
My
thing
bad.
that was changed is this, what you have on this multifamily buffer.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the floor to anyone here who might be here to address this change. And actually, there's two here. There's a resolution and there's also an ordinance here. So this will be the opportunity to speak to both. We'll address them separately, but from a vote standpoint. Anyone here like to address the council? Okay, seeing no one, then I'll close the hearing and we'll call for a resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5422, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, declaring as a public record that certain document entitled 2022 Amendments to the 2021 Residential Design Standards for Planned Area Developments.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 5422 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next is considering an ordinance. Can I get an ordinance number, please, Gloria, for the second part of this?
Ordinance number 1397.17.2.58. An ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting the 2022 amendments to the 2021 residential design standards for planned area developments by reference, amending section 17.40.015 of the City of Casa Grande Municipal Code concerning design standards for planned area developments, establishing the severability of the various sections of the ordinance, and establishing an effective date.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of ordinance number 1397.17.58 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we have no executive session tonight, but we do have reports, so we're down the home stretch here, and I will start to my right. Bob?
Yes, busy couple of weeks, even though we skipped a week on council meeting. Mayor, I enjoyed your presentation at the Biz Outlook Luncheon. Always enjoy hearing you speak about accomplishments and things that are coming. So that was very nice. Enjoyed the underpass dedication. The work done there was excellent. And it was a proud moment for our community to have that dedicated. This week, I'll be attending the APS Energy Update at CAC on Wednesday. I'm not sure if any of the other council members will be there, but I will see you there if you are. I also wanted to give a compliment to Kevin. I know you contracted out, but the company that we utilized for the resealing of the pavement in Villago has done an excellent job. I'm a resident there, and they kept us very well informed of what restrictions, if any, were going to be done. And anyway, it looks great with the new striping on it. Looks like a brand-new neighborhood, so thank you for that.
I wish all felt like you.
Lisa?
So the mayor was unable to attend an event with the Casa Grande Alliance, and so I was able to go, and I'm really glad I did. But it was a film on child trauma and connecting the dots. And I don't know if any of you have seen this film or if you've been involved and done research on what's going on with our children and trauma and, with all the discussions with mental health issues. It was timely, especially for everything going on right now. So I know I talked to the mayor and I told him I would really like to meet with Bob Sjogren and just kind of see. But I wanted to read some of the statistics in case none of you do go on. It's www.rememberingtrauma.org. But these were pretty interesting statistics I really wanted to share that were just amazing to me. But 1 in 6 children between the ages of 2 and 5 receive a psychiatric diagnosis. Young children exposed to 5 or more significant adverse experiences in the first 3 years of childhood are 76% more likely to have at least one delay in their language, emotional, or brain development. The majority of youth in detention, 3/4 females and 2/3 males, meet criteria for at least one psychiatric disorder. Over half of our youth in detention have experienced at least 6 trauma incidents prior to arrest. 26% of children in the United States will witness or experience a traumatic event before they turn 4. As the number of childhood traumatic events increases, the risk for the following health problems in adulthood increase, which are depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, suicide attempts, heart and liver diseases, pregnancy, high stress, uncontrollable anger, and family, financial, and job problems. So when they talked about trauma, you think it's witnessing a death or whatever, but there can be so many different things that are trauma. It could be an experience at school, experience with family, experience with friends. So, but what we can do as a community, and that's what I would like to see what we can do. They talked about resilience and the child's ability to bounce back, and there's protective factors that are involved, and some of those protective factors include, individuals which are healthy and strong peer relationships, high self-esteem, emotional self-regulation, positive coping skills, of course, working with the family, reliable support from caregivers and extended family, and clear values and expectations or for behavior. But the third is community, and that's where we can maybe do something here, and that's presence of mentors, school engagement with families, positive norms, and opportunities for community involvement. And that's where Bob Sjogren really would like to sit with us. They talked about Evergreen, converting Evergreen into a learning center, and this is, something that, where they feel that they can kind of focus on some of these areas. But it was a great film, great program, and if any of you want to kind of go on this Remembering Trauma, that has the film on it. But Mayor, I really hope we can sit with Bob, and I know Donna's on the board. You're still on the board, right? Castro
And Jeff,
Alliance?
too.
And Jeff, so I'm sure they, know a lot of this, but I'm glad I was able to attend.
Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, and then, as far as, we talked a lot about planning and zoning tonight, and I just wanted to thank one of our planning and zoning members that had to step down, Dennis Dugan. I just wanted to thank him for all of his time and commitment to planning and zoning. Yeah, he has some health issues, but I just wanted to thank him publicly for everything he's done. And thirdly, I just wanted to thank our Cass Grand Police Department. There's been a lot of challenges, a lot going on in our city, and these guys have been on top of it. And, it's tough, and, there's criticism, and people don't think, we're acting, and you guys are working so hard and doing some fantastic things in our community. So thank you to our police department.
Ditto that.
That's
Mr.
it.
Powell?
Well, I think Gloria ought to get some of the glory for the underpass, and I just
Oh,
want to make sure
absolutely.
we acknowledged you.
Very good.
And I was one of the first critics you had, and you straightened me out, so I fully support you. I've had a real bad day. One of my best friends died of a brainstem bleed yesterday. And he was going to be our grand marshal at Cowboy Days, and he won't be around to do that. But I've spent some time out there with his family, and very sad situation. And he and I had quite a few adventures, so gonna miss him.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Matt?
Thanks, Mayor. First of all, I want to echo the underpass dedication and thank Gloria a lot. She did a lot of the work. I know there was a committee mostly made up of artists, and if anyone knows about working with artists and how much fun that is, it is Gloria. So, there's a lot to be said. It's like herding cats, I'm sure, for you. But the project is beautiful. My family happens to own a business on that side of town. So we drive, my mom was there at the dedication. She goes, I've been driving on this overpass every day, 4 times a day for 35 years, and it has never looked this good. So it's a sense of pride for Casa Grande, and it goes along with what we're doing to, building these entrances to our town and just having some more civic pride. And while we were there with the artists that had worked on it and the committee, they had new plans, Gloria. I'm sure you've heard about them for even doing more stuff there. So that's what we get. But just something to be proud of as a community. Got to Kevin, the Santa Rosa pavement project. I know that was a big thing for you guys, and nothing went as it should have been, from bad substrate levels to equipment exploding. But I talked to some of the residents out there. They had concerns, and they're happy with the results. So it took. You have to live through some pain to get the glory of it. And so I just want to commend you guys for dealing with a lot of adversity and coming out on top of it. And just, I don't think you get to hear the good stuff a lot of times, but they're, overall, after it's all done, everyone's like, yeah, thank you. So good job to your department for that and challenging. I got to go out to the Podium Club, which is part of the Apex Motorsports Complex, which is not in the city yet, but on our planning area, and I got to actually ride and then drive a car on it, and I went even faster in that car than I did in the Lucid that I got to drive, and it was exciting, and they let me drive their car, so I was impressed, and it was a lot of fun. The track is awesome. I mean, they have a lot of stuff started out there, and it's going to be, I don't know much about tracks, but I could tell this one is amazing, and they put a lot of time, money, effort into it, and they even have some little bit of infrastructure out there, and it's going to be a great asset to our community and the whole county. So it's a lot of fun. If you ever get the chance and know a member, you should do it. And then Saturday night, I got invited to a dinner for the Pinal County Veterans Memorial fundraiser, and they had a nice dinner at the Catholic Church Community Center, and to get some fundraising opportunities. They had a comedian, so that group is all volunteers. They've dealt, they got the wall going. They had a little bit of adversity a few weeks ago with the graffiti, and it was donated by everyone to get it, or not everyone, but Cooper Painting, to get it covered up quickly. And so they are going, they have big plans, and they have the bronze bust. They had it on display of a veteran, and it's amazing. Life-size bust that's going to be one of the centerpieces of it. So it was really neat to see, and just, man, you got a dedicated group of people there, and thanks for inviting me, and it was really great to see everything. So they are well on their way and have great plans for it. That's all I have. And thanks to the Youth Commission and Kendra one more time, and Crystal at home. I can't say enough about them, and I hope, when you get 35 years, you get a video. So if you would have stayed, we would have had the video. You get 9 years, you get the plaque and the flowers.
35 years.
But yeah. She knows how my humor is, so thank you very much. I'm going to miss them, but we've got plans, so thanks.
Donna?
Yeah. Just a couple things, the underpass, Gloria, it was wonderful. Jody did a great front page story for us on it, and we've had several comments. So just a reminder, we do have some boards and commissions coming up that have some vacancies. So whether you're involved in airport, community services, the public safety, or the historic preservation, be sure to get your application in on that. And Lisa had mentioned about the police department, and we had a press release that went out today that the Casa Grande Police Department was working with the FBI. And, in light of everything that's been going on in Texas and some of the other states, I'm just so proud of our police department, and not just the work that they do, but the collaboration they have with other agencies, that we were able, to take somebody off the street that makes some terrorist threats. That's not the community that we are, and I'm really proud of the work that they do. The last thing I wanted to mention is that there's kind of a hidden secret in Casa Grande. In certain areas of Casa Grande, some of the scouts are actually putting out flags for community members. And I have some flyers, and for $35 a year, you get 6 different holidays that they will actually come to your house, put the flag up, come and take it down, and it's a great community project for them, and it helps raise funds for the boys and girls to be able to go to camps and things like that. So I have some flyers, put some stuff on social media, but I think it's a great asset to our community, especially for those people that may not be able to put flags out on day. And we got Flag Day coming up next week, so if you're interested, be sure to check out their social media. That's it.
Thank you, Donna. Mr. Lavender?
Well, I want to congratulate all the class of 2022 students. I thought all 5 of our local high schools did a phenomenal job with the celebrations. I want to give a shout out to Steve Hardesty. He and I coordinated having 300 8th graders at McNatt Park on Tuesday, May 24th. And that park is such a great addition to our community and the work that they've done. We had wonderful water fights that day. Kids, it was just great to see 8th graders acting like kids again. And so it was a lot of fun. Also, Steve organizes our Friday social for City each week, and congratulations, Steve and Paul, for winning last week.
It's a loaded group. Loaded.
Well, you and I will take our crown back soon, won't we?
All right.
And then I want to thank Councilmember Huddleston for coming out and being a part of our B-Wall celebration in May. And Councilmember Powell, you're the last one I need to get out there. Those up here, I'm looking forward to getting you out in the fall.
Where's that?
At
Malago.
B-Wall, we do it at Malago.
The B-Wall.
No.
We want to get you out in the fall.
Be all you can be.
Hey, I can do it.
And our Casa Grande's favorite boxer is now 19-0, or as he says, 20-0, because he counts the exhibition fight he fought against me for the Malaga students, in which he knocked me out as one of his 20 victories. But he continues, Jesus continues to do well, and I know a title fight is coming his way. But he really represents our community, first of all, by competing, but also the way he carries himself. He takes the time to talk to all students, fans, the boxing gym that he has open for kids to go in there and learn boxing. Great asset for our community. So congratulations to him on 19-0, and looking forward to his next fight.
Thank you. Well, lots going on. To Bob's point, considering the time of year we're in, but I did a ribbon cutting this morning at 9 o'clock at a place called Smart Dollar Store, and it's a small independent business person who's just opening. They opened today, and they're in the Safeway parking lot, so right near where the new drive-through coffee place is going to be. It's right behind it. And if you get a chance, go in there and please tell them hello. They moved here from St. Louis. They brought their entire family. They opened this business, and you can get, if you have a birthday party, you can get the whole package deal, with napkins all matching, just buy it in a box. So they've got all kinds of stuff in there, so it's kind of cool. So I'd encourage you to try and go by there. Also had a chance to meet the new CEO for Banner Hospital today. His name is John Scherf, and he will be taking over for Brian Keller, who actually has already started his new job. He's running 2 or 3 of Banner's hospitals now up in the valley, and so. But I'm hoping that that John will fill the shoes that Brian had filled while he was here. Brian did an amazing job while he was here. Has a lot of other plans for the hospital. They really have improved the overall hospital itself, from the neonatal care facility that was rated like #1 in the country here recently to improving and doubling the size of their emergency room. So just a lot of good stuff, and having their own helicopter now. So we actually have helicopter service here in Casa Grande that is run by Banner. So since we lost the one that was out at the airport, but it's a big job. and I wish John well in his new endeavor. We've got, I did the Memorial Day program out at Mountain View Cemetery last week on Memorial Day, and we had probably 250 people out there or so. And it was actually cool. It wasn't cool. It wasn't hot. Let's put it that way. It was pleasant, and it was a good remembrance event. And it was good to see everybody out there, and it's always good to remember our veterans who served and gave their ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. So that is really what Memorial Day is about. And then we did have the PRTA board meeting last week, so we are pushing the vote for the PRTA to the county. The county has to ratify or basically approve it, and then it will be on the ballot in November. So you get to re-vote on the half-cent sales tax that you're already paying, and it allows, basically this just makes it a legal tax versus, according to the Supreme Court, an illegal tax. So it changes like basically one word in 417, which is the proposition. So anyway, you're going to hear more about that. And Gloria, thank you to you and your team for the Union Underpass. I know I'm repeating everybody else's accolades, but it was a great event, great project. It really is the start, I think, to us improving Florence Boulevard and our cityscape, which is really our entrances, our monuments into the city. Next, we'll tackle Pinal, but right now we're going to work on we're going to work on Florence and make sure that's done. I also got the opportunity to meet a new business who's coming here to town. They bought the SS Blinky, and it's called Fusion Sign and Design, and they're actually a very large company. I didn't realize it. They have operations in Colorado, operations in California, and they are coming here to Casa Grande, and they will actually be making signs, and I'm talking big commercial signs. So it's not to compete with Randy and the sign shop. This will be, big lighted commercial signs. So pretty exciting. I was excited to meet them, and they're excited to be here. So it's a fun deal. And then I wanted to remind everybody that we do have, and our Community Services Department, and especially Steve Hardesty, who is here tonight. Thank you, Steve. That we have the opportunity for Every Child sponsorship, which is a program that the city does every year, and there's an application. You can go online. It's called the OEC, and donate money to this program. This last year, we had 256 scholarships that were awarded, totaling $10,310. So what it does is your donations are used to help kids who can't afford some of the city programs. It actually pays for those programs, and it's everything from soccer to basketball to volleyball, gymnastics, ballet, dance, arts and crafts, really all of the youth programs that the city puts on that has a cost. It helps fund those programs and will allow for scholarships for some of our youth who can't afford to participate in those programs. So I would ask that you reach out to Aaron Walters. Aaron kind of runs the Community Rec Center. You can get a hold of him there directly, or look up online and find out the applications, because the applications are out. And then just one more item, and I know Lisa mentioned it, but a good friend of mine who's been on the planning and zoning for 5 years has some issues, and I would ask that the community pray for him. So thank you. That's all I have. Anybody else? All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.